Level 1. The kid in the garage. You are 14 years old and you are lying on a creeper under your uncle's pickup truck, holding a flashlight in your teeth because both your hands are busy, and he is talking you through what a bad wheel bearing sounds like versus what a bad CV joint sounds like, and you cannot hear the difference yet, but you nod like you can. He doesn't ask if you're bored. He already knows you're not. You start hanging around the garage every weekend. Nobody pays you. You hand over wrenches and learn their names by repetition. 10 mil, 13, the one that always rolls under the bench. You strip your first bolt trying to remove a battery terminal, and your uncle doesn't get angry. He just shows you the difference between force and finesse, a lesson that will apply to almost everything else you learn in this trade for the rest of your life. By 16, you can change your own oil without being told a single step. It is not much, it feels like everything. Level 2, the shop apprentice. You are 18 and you've talked your way into a real apprenticeship at a local shop, sweeping floors and running parts for the first 3 months before anyone lets you near an actual vehicle that a paying customer owns. The senior mechanics test you constantly, not out of cruelty, but because a mistake under a 2-ton vehicle is not a small mistake. Your first solo job is a brake job on a sedan. You torque every bolt to spec, check it twice, and still ask someone to double check you anyway. The shop foreman does wordlessly and nods once. That nod means more to you than most compliments you've received in your life. You learn the parts of the job nobody mentions in the daydream. The skinned knuckles, the smell of brake dust that never fully leaves your clothes, the specific ache of standing on concrete for 10 hours. You learn to love it anyway, because there is a particular kind of satisfaction in a problem that has a definite, findable, fixable answer. Level 3, the diagnostician. You are 23 and you've become the guy other mechanics quietly ask for help when a problem doesn't make sense. The intermittent electrical fault, the noise that only happens at 40 miles an hour going uphill, the check engine light that keeps coming back after 3 other people gave up on it. Diagnosis, you've learned, is a different skill entirely from repair. Repair is knowing what to do once you know what's wrong. Diagnosis is the patient, sometimes maddening process of listening to a machine complain in a language it was never built to speak clearly. You spend an entire afternoon once chasing an electrical gremlin through a wiring harness, and when you finally find it, a single chafed wire rubbing against a bracket, the satisfaction is almost disproportionate to how small the actual fix turns out to be. Customers start asking for you by name, not because you're the fastest, because you're the one who actually finds the real problem instead of guessing at parts and hoping. Level 4, the specialist. You are 29 and you've built a reputation specific enough that people drive an hour past 3 other shops to bring you their vehicle. You specialize now, European electronics or diesel diagnostics or the increasingly complex hybrid and electric systems that half the mechanics you came up with refuse to touch. The trade has changed enormously since you started, and you've had to change with it. Cars used to be mechanical puzzles. Now half of them are rolling computers, and the wrench matters less every year while the laptop matters more. You spend real money on training and diagnostic equipment that would have seemed like science fiction to the 14-year-old under that pickup truck. You take on your first apprentice around this time, a kid who reminds you uncomfortably of yourself, eager, a little too confident, prone to stripping bolts. You catch yourself repeating your uncle's exact lesson about force and finesse, word for word, without meaning to. Level 5, the shop owner. You are 36 when you finally open your own place, a decision that terrifies you more than any diagnostic puzzle ever has. Suddenly, you are not just fixing cars. You are managing payroll, negotiating with parts suppliers, dealing with customers who want to argue about an estimate you already gave them at cost. The first year nearly breaks you. Cash flow is a constant, quiet anxiety that has nothing to do with torque specs or wiring diagrams. You learn to read a balance sheet with the same patience you once used to trace an electrical fault, because it turns out running a shop and diagnosing a car use exactly the same muscle. The willingness to sit with a confusing problem until it makes sense. You hire slowly, fire rarely, and build a small crew of mechanics who trust you the way you once trusted the foreman who checked your first brake job. Watching one of them nail a difficult diagnosis on their own, without asking for help, gives you a satisfaction that surprises you with how much it echoes the feeling of fixing the car yourself. Level 6, the institution. You are 49 and your shop has become the kind of place people mention unprompted when someone asks for a mechanic recommendation in your town. You've trained a dozen apprentices over the years, several of whom have gone on to open their own shops, which fills you with a specific, quiet pride that has nothing to do with money. The industry keeps shifting under your feet. Electric vehicles now make up a real portion of your bay, and half of what you learned in your 20s is obsolete, replaced by new systems you've had to learn from scratch in your 40s. Humbling in a way you didn't expect at this stage stage of your career. You do it anyway. The alternative is becoming the mechanic who can't fix the cars people actually drive anymore. You still get under a vehicle yourself sometimes when a problem is interesting enough, much to the mild concern of the younger mechanics who worry about your knees. You tell them the same thing your uncle never quite said out loud but always meant, that this job, done right, is never really about the car. It's about the specific, quiet satisfaction of understanding something completely and making it work again. Level 7. The Legend. You are 63 and mostly retired now, though you still come into the shop most mornings out of habit more than necessity, sitting in the office while your son, who took over the business 5 years ago, runs the floor exactly the way you taught him to. Customers still ask for you sometimes, out of loyalty more than need. You think about that 14-year-old under the pickup truck occasionally, holding a flashlight in his teeth, nodding at words he didn't understand yet. He had no idea that a garage full of borrowed tools and an uncle's patience would turn into an entire life. A shop, a trade, a small legacy of mechanics who learned the same lessons you did, in the same order, the hard way. Somewhere across town right now, a kid is standing in a garage holding a flashlight for someone who knows more than they do, nodding at words that don't make sense yet. They have no idea yet what it's going to give them. It never really is about the car. It never was.